Hello, good evening, everyone. How are you all doing today? How are you all doing today? Trust you've had a wonderful week so far, correct? I'm sure you've had a wonderful week, okay? Some of you, today's Thursday, and depending on your time zone, if you're in Nigeria or if you're in West Africa or in Africa, you're likely going to be in the evening already. So I'm sure you guys are excited about the new end of the week already. Like, thank God it's Friday, so you're looking forward to the weekend. All right. But anyways, let me get to know how your week has been so far. Has it been great? Has it been awesome? Has it been stressful? Has it been busy? Just let me know. Let me drop a comment in the chat. How has your week been so far this week? How has this week been so far? Has it been stressful? Has it been exciting? Has it been, awesome? What has your week been like? Just one word, a simple word. Okay. Let me get to see the people that we have on the call. So we're going to be using the chat a lot. Okay. So just to ensure decorum for the session. We'll be using the chat a lot today. Okay, so if you want to just drop how your week has been so far, I'll just be taking it from the chat. Okay, okay, all right. While we're doing that, we'll be talking about something very interesting today, something very exciting. And I usually like to talk about data engineering because this is one career path a lot of people are not even, a lot of people are not taking into consideration. And this is will definitely be, one career path that would make it, make give you that career dignity, defined career path that you're looking out for. All right. So data engineering is a career path that's, even within the data space, it's relatively on the new path. Okay. So if you're looking about probably 8, 10 years ago, there was no role that was coined as data engineer. Okay. So, and that's exactly what makes it very in demand at the moment because majority of the organizations are going to be looking for data engineers to see how they can harmonize their data. Okay. So you've all heard of data analysts, you've heard of data scientists, you've heard about, all this business intelligence and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of data professionals out there. Okay. But now the key thing is without data, the data analyst, the data scientist, the business intelligence, the everybody that needs data, HR analyst, operations analyst, whatever role that involves analytics, okay, needs data. Now the key question is what you need to understand is who provides them with the data, okay? Who provides them with the data? Who ensures that this data, all right, is reliable and is on time. Okay, so whenever they need the data, they can get to use the data, they can see the data, they can use the data. Who makes the data available? All right. That's the role of the data engineer. Okay. So that's exactly what we're going to be looking at today. How to start your career as a data engineer. And we're going to be looking at something very interesting in today's session. And that is going to be the real life application of data engineering. We're going to be looking at a real life application of data engineering. And you're going to learn a lot from this session because this is going to be us showing you in real time how a data engineer works. Okay, the real life application of data engineering. Okay, so today's session, we're going to focus on one critical part, which is web scraping. Okay, web scraping, which is, something I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of it before. If you've heard of web scraping before, I want you to drop a one in the chat. If you've heard of web scraping, drop a one in the chat. And if you haven't, don't worry, we're going to talk about that today extensively. Okay, so build a web scraping ETL pipeline. So we'll talk extensively about if you've never heard of ETL before, we'll talk about it. If you've never heard of pipeline, we'll talk about it in today's session. So, we're going to be talking, the real life application of the role of a data engineer. Okay. So that's essentially what we're going to be looking at in today's session. Now, moving on, for people that are joining us for the first time, that you've never attended any of our master classes before. Okay, you're welcome. But usually we like to talk about analytics, what we stand for, who are we, and what we are looking to achieve. So, Analytics is an educational technology firm, with a sole purpose, okay, on getting more Africans into the tech space. That's the goal for us, getting more Africans into the tech space. And in the past 4 years of running this business and being in existence, we've helped over 2,000 people transition, Africans transition into the tech space in the past 2 years. All right. We've been able to help 2,000 people transition into the tech space. And we do this across different technical domains, cutting across data analytics, data science, data engineering that we're talking about today, business intelligence, business analysis, I mean, Scrum Master, HR analytics, financial analytics, and so on and so forth. All right. And, that's the beauty of what we're trying to achieve, getting more Africans aware, first off. A lot of Africans have this mindset that tech is not their thing. Okay, they're not technically sound. They didn't go to school to do tech, computer science. They don't like computer. That's the reason why they don't want to do tech. But those are the kind of reasons why we're doing this masterclass in the first place, to enlighten you, to provide you value, to give you, to shed more light into the tech ecosystem, into the darkness, that probably you feel exists within the tech ecosystem. So you see that void that we currently have where Africans are not transitioning to the tech space. That's exactly what we're trying to achieve. How can we bridge the gap? How can we get more Africans more technically sound, first off, and then get them into a job within the tech space? And that's what we've been able to do in the last 4 years, helping over 2,000 Africans across the world get into the tech space. All right. So we have proof for all these numbers. Don't worry. And I'm going to share some of the proof with you. I'm not sure before we started, you saw the testimonials that we're playing. All right. Some testimonials we have we have literally Africans across the world getting job across different technical roles. And we'll talk more about that. Don't worry. I'm not hiding anything, okay? I'm not gatekeeping any information. I'll share all the information with you. So, who is Ifemena Ipro? Okay, who is this person speaking with you today? My name is Ifemena Ipro. I am the co-founder of Tenalytics, okay? And prior to Tenalytics, prior to tech and all that, I actually studied economics in university. So I did economics, nothing technical related, okay? So I did economics. After finishing university, the first job I ever did was in consulting, management consulting. So I did management consulting for about 4 years. So consulting has nothing to do with tech also, okay? Zero tech, nothing, okay? So that means from a non-technical background to a non-technical role, how did I transition from this background into a technical background? Now, in the past couple of years, I've worked as a data analyst, I've worked as a data engineer, data scientist, I've worked for companies in Ireland, UK, US, and now Canada. And my experience has been spanning different domains, cutting across health to logistics to supply chain to automobile to financial services and so on and so forth. Now, the key question is, how did I move from a non-technical background to a technical background? Okay. Does it mean that I'm the smartest person? No, I'm not. I'm not the smartest person you ever see. Okay. But one thing that I know is when I started my career, when I became intentional about transitioning, it took me about 2 years to transition, 2 years to get a job, my first job in the tech space. It took me about 2 years. And now the key question we kept asking ourselves within the team was, why should it take us 2 years to get a job in the tech space? Okay, now that we are data analysts, data scientists, data engineers, and all that, should it take us 2 years to get a job in the tech space? And the answer is resounding no. It shouldn't have taken us 2 years. And that was one of the main reasons why we started analytics, to see that, okay, do you know what? If it took us 2 years, it shouldn't take the next person another 2 years to get a job. And that's what we've implemented with Net Analytics to help most Africans across the world transition into their tech career paths. We've had people going through the training program for like a month plus and they're able to get a job. We have people going through the training program in 3 months and they're able to get a job. We have people that are going through the program in 4 months and they're able to get a job. But essentially, so beating another 2 years into a couple of months is significant enough for us. And that's what we're trying to do, educate and help and hold you in getting your tech career started. And that's exactly what we're looking out for. And I'm sure you guys are excited about that because, what other platform would hold your hands and guide you through your tech journey to getting you started? Okay, we'll talk extensively about how you can transition. Okay, but I have with me today another sound and very experienced professional in the house with the name of, we call him Chu. Okay, we call him Chu. So you're free to call him Chu also, or Chu. Are we okay to call you Chu? Is everybody okay to call you Chu today?
Hi,
Chu, are you there? Okay,
yes, of course. That's all good.
yeah. Oh, good. Okay, fantastic. Anyway, yes. So we have Chu in the house, another very experienced person. Also, he'll be coming in. He'll be the one to talk about, his real life experience, and also is going to be handling the masterclass for today's session. Okay. So in today's session, we have Chu leading the session, seasoned data engineer with over 5 years of experience, cutting across consulting and finance. Okay. Currently works as a data engineer with one of the largest banks in Africa, which is Access Bank. Okay. And his technology stack is solid. Do you understand? Like, you need to listen to him. Okay. And also, tip of the iceberg is, Chu is one of the best guys that will teach you data engineering in a few minutes and you understand everything. So you honestly want to listen to him. Okay. So we're going to be doing 14 in today's session, very quick session. Okay. This session is going to be a maximum of 2 hours. Okay. But I can guarantee you are going to learn a lot. They're going to learn a lot in today's session. Okay. Just 2 hours of your time. So if you can just devote 2 hours of your time, maximum 2 hours. It could be between 1 hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours, or maximum 2 hours. So we're going to be building a web scraping ETL pipeline. That's the practical real world application of data engineering. We're going to be building a web scraping ETL pipeline. If you don't know what web scraping is, we'll talk about it. If you don't know what ETL is, we'll talk about it. If you don't know what a pipeline is, you can Google that one. Don't worry. I think everybody knows. If you're a Nigerian or an African, you would have heard of pipeline. So moving pipe from one place to the other. So, anyways, we'll still talk about that and in data engineering terminologies. Okay. Now we'll talk about that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Next thing is the pathway to becoming a data engineer and securing a job. Okay. So you learn data engineering is not for the fun of it. You want to get a job afterwards. How do you get that job? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about. Number three is the growth internship program. This is one of the reasons why we've had a huge success in getting people jobs within the tech space in the last 4 years, leveraging the internship program, the growth internship program that we offer within 10 Analytics. But last but not the least, because you're a special candidate, all right, we have a special offer for those people that wait to the end of the session. So if you wait to the end of the session, I personally have a special offer for you. Okay, so wait to the end of the session and you'll get to see that. All right. Now, one thing I like to say is it always seems impossible until it is done. It always seems impossible until it is done. So the thing about data engineering, a lot of people think that you need a lot to get started. You need a lot. You need a master's, you need several stack, you need several certifications to get started. But the honest truth is you don't need any of those things. Okay. And in the past couple of months, we've had a lot of people, data engineering program transitioning into the tech space. And I would like to share some testimonials with you. So you can actually see for yourself that if I settle down, if I go through analytics, I have a high probability of also getting the job. So we have Michael, got a job as a sales engineer with a software company in the UK. All those Idris and DBC got a job as a data engineer with, and he got a job initially as a data engineer with Jaguar Land Rover. Also secured now another role as a senior analytics engineer with another company in the UK. Also, after completing the analytics training program. So I'm going to play Idris first. Then, if we don't have enough time, we'll just play Idris first. Then we'll go into the main session. All right. So give me a second. I'm just going to play Idris's video. Give it a second.
Hello everyone, my name is Idris. How I heard about analytics was through a post on Instagram. So there was this ad. And I was interested in what I saw there. That made me decided to go through their website and see the curriculum they had. Going through the curriculum, I realized this was exactly what I was looking for because I'm this kind of person. very much love the learning fundamentals when I'm diving into a new field. And this was exactly what Stain Analytics is doing. They starts from the fundamentals and build it up from there. That made me enroll into the program with them, and my learning experience throughout the program was very productive because I gained a lot of concepts which I'm applying in my current role at the moment. Since finishing the program at Ten Analytics, I've been able to secure a data engineering role at Jaguar Land Rover, and recently I just secured a new role as a senior analytics engineer. So my advice for anyone is, if you're having any doubts or if you think, oh, you need to delve into this field, I advise you to just go to the website, check on the courses there and see what you're interested in and start from there. Thank you.
All right, so that's Idris on ABC, just like you, attending the masterclass. He also attended and made that conscious decision to start. So the key difference between every other person that was in that masterclass and at DBC is the fact that they started. That's the only difference. Literally. The other people also must have enjoyed the session and felt the need like, oh, I don't need this. Okay. Or I don't trust them or something, or whatever is going through your mind. But IWC took that particular session, okay, and made a conscious effort to start. So that's the key thing. Starting is better than still, and over analyzing the situation. All right. So Idris has a job working as a senior analytics engineer just within a year of starting the role as a data engineer with Land Rover. Okay, was able to get another job as a senior. Also, Michael working as a sales engineer. So it always seems impossible until somebody else does it. Okay, and like I said, we have enough proof to show you that people have gone on through the training program and gone on to getting the job within the tech space. All right. So today's session, like I said, is a practical session talking about web scraping, okay, getting data from the web, cleaning the data, transforming the data, and loading it into, a Snowflake's data warehouse. Okay. So, anyways, I'm going to be calling in Chu to handle the session, the practical aspect of the training program. So, Chu, if you are there, I know you're there. So, if you want to mute yourself, turn on your video, let's see your face, and then I want to hand over to you to handle the session. So a round of applause for Mr. Chu. Okay, and let's get to hear from him. Thank you very much. I'll come back anyways to talk to you guys. Okay, so Chu, over to you, please. I'm going to stop sharing, and you can go on.
All right, Efemina, thank you. Nice words. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. It's nice to be here in this session today. And borrowing the leaf from your quote, Efemina, it always seems impossible until it's done. So, yeah, talking about web scraping, that's what we'll be doing today. It seems impossible, but we are going to do it. And I trust that you will be able to pick up, a couple of skills here and there on how you can actually get into the data engineering space. So because we have quite a few things to touch, I will just share screen and then we can jump right into it. Oh, good, Efemina.
Oh, fantastic. Good to go.
All right. All right. Can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, I can. But you're sharing the other version, not the slide itself.
Sorry?
Yes, you're showing the one that has the not the slide. So yes, if you can go to display setting and just select on share screen or something on the top. So you see a display settings just at the top. Yes, fantastic. That's it. Yeah, you're good to go now. Yeah.
All right. Okay, guys. So jumping right into it for our session today, on a high level, these are the things we will try to look at today. So exactly what do we mean by data extraction from the web? Why do we even want to extract data from the web? And then that leads us to an introduction to web scraping. And we'll have to talk about ethics of web scraping and some of the tools that we want to use to do this web scraping. Finally, I'm sure the one that will interest everybody is we actually get to do the hands-on trying to scrape some data from the web. All right, so data extraction from the web. What is data extraction and why do we do data extraction? So in data engineering, essentially, like the Femina mentioned, the entirety of data engineering is we are trying to get some data for some people, your business users, your analysts, just different people that need some data. You want to get it data when they need it. So data extraction is all about we live in the internet age now, and a whole lot of data being generated across different websites, different applications on the web, and extracting data from these websites, it can really serve your business. So because there are different ways that a business can generate data. There's the data that you generate within the organization, and there's some that you want to go out there to source somewhere on the internet. So extraction we mean is how do you get this data from wherever it is on the web to actually bring it for the business users within your organization. There are different ways that we can do that in data engineering. We can use APIs, or we can just do web scraping. So APIs are, some of these applications, some of these websites, they have some structured protocol they offer you. Basically saying just plug to this socket and you can get the data that you want to get. But for web scraping, we use web scraping when that socket is not there. There's no standard protocol for us to plug to get that data. We have to basically, using that same term script, basically, get that data off that website in a less structured way, but it also works for us to get the data from the internet. So yeah, two ways we can extract data from the internet using APIs and web scraping. So today we'll be looking at web scraping. So yeah, so what is this web scraping we're talking about? Like I mentioned, right, it's a way that you try to extract this data from the internet, different websites, when you don't have an API, when you don't have that socket for you to plug to get this data. So you can just look at this little visual here. So you have some data sitting on your website, and you want to write your web scraping code, so whichever tool you want to use to achieve your web scraping, and then you want to bring that data in whatever format that serves your business users into your own database. So in a nutshell, that's really what web scraping tries to do. So before we get into it, just a little bit of pros, cons, advantages of web scraping. So this would be in comparison to actually doing this manually, because the idea of web scraping is that we are automating it. Because before this, you could actually go to the internet and actually use your phone, browse, and see this data, maybe screenshots, manually record, and get the information that you need. But this would not serve if you're talking about big data, if you wanted to get these information fast and in large scale. So what are some of the advantages that you would consider for web scraping against actually getting this data manually? Again, it's faster. That's the very first one you want to think about. Accuracy will be higher because if it's manual, it's always prone to human errors. So faster, highly accurate, and you can automate this to run on a schedule. So imagine if you wanted to get some weather data, for instance, you could automate this that every day you just scrape the weather data from whichever website you want to get this, and it comes to your database. You don't have to interfere with it. You don't have to go every morning to try to do this. You can easily automate this. So these are some of the advantages you can get from web scraping. Talking about the cons, yeah, you need to maintain this regularly because it's your code. And then one of the major cons of web scraping is that it's highly dependent on somebody's website. So for instance, today we'll be scraping data from a website, Jumia. So this is highly dependent on Jumia's website. So if, for instance, tomorrow or next year, Jumia runs an upgrade on their website and changes the entire interface, our pipeline is going to break. So just a caveat, that's one of the major cons of web scraping. It's highly dependent on the website that you are trying to get this data from. Another very important one you need to consider is there's something called rate limits. So every time you try to scrape data, you're essentially sending some requests to that website. So the website is obviously going to set some rate limits to make sure that different people are not sending way too much requests that can actually pull their website down. So there could be difference rate limits, or even captchas. I'm sure everyone is used to captchas, so they can put captchas. All those captchas you see when you try to browse are just, these websites are trying to make sure that robots are not accessing their websites. Because when you scrape data from a website, you're actually acting like a robot. You're using a program, a code to get data from this website. So those captchas are out there to disallow you from doing things like that, or disallow you from doing it too frequently. So this is about the things that you need to bear in mind when you try to scrape data from the web. So another very important one we need to talk about before we get hands-on is the ethics of web scraping. So a major point here is that you need to think about intellectual property, copyright laws when you try to scrape data, because this data belongs to somebody. So you have to be responsible when you scrape data from the web. You have to be sure that you're not infringing on any copyright laws, and if this is intellectual property, you try to act accordingly. So in a nutshell, you always have to be responsible when you try to scrape data. And luckily, a lot of websites give us terms of service. So I'll show you this. You can go to any website and just go to their robots.txt file, and it will give you a bit of the things that you can do as a robot. That's the things that we can do using web scraping, and the things that we cannot do. So whenever you do this on your own, you try to act responsibly and just adhere to whatever protocols that they give you in their terms of service. So, but to conclude about this, generally, when you try to scrape data from a website, again, just be responsible. Don't send too many requests. You don't have to send 1,000 requests every second, or just make sure that you get just the data you need. Don't scrape too frequently so that you don't overlook your website, because somebody actually owns this website and they use it for their business. So that's about that in terms of a little bit of theory before we get our hands dirty. So some of the libraries that you'll be using, because for this our case study we will be using Python. So some of the libraries that will help us is the request library for us to actually make this request to the website we want to scrape, and Beautiful Soup. So I'll be showing you how these libraries work in a moment. Then talking about the case study that we want to walk through today, we want to see how we can build a data pipeline for a market analysis of e-commerce laptop prices. So what do we mean by this? So we've been employed by a company, you can call that TechMart. It's just a fictitious company, and they're one of the leading electronics retailer. So coming into new markets, for instance, Nigeria, they want to try to understand, okay, what is the ecosystem? How does the Nigerian market react? What are the price points of the different laptops in this country? So what they're really trying to do is that they want to collect this data, so the analysts are able to analyze this data. So you as a data engineer, you've been tasked with collecting data on laptops, laptop prices, laptop makes, ratings, and some of those things across the leading e-commerce sites in Nigeria. You can think of Jumia, you can think of Konga, all of these sites. So what we try to do is we want to build a pipeline that will get this data from, we'll just do one, take a case in point of Jumia. So we're trying to go to Jumia, scrape data on different laptops that they have, and extract the things that we need, like prices, discounts if they offer discounts, ratings, and some of those information. Then we want to do some transformations on this data and send it to a database, so that the analysts and the business people who need this data to do the analysis, to answer like math questions, will be able to wake up tomorrow morning and see this data to do their work. So this case study will walk us through different processes involved in building a pipeline. So we'll be scraping data using Python, the Beautiful Soup library. We'll be transforming this data, and then we'll be sending it to the Snowflake database. So yeah, I already mentioned this in terms of the technical requirements that we will be using for this case study. Programming language is going to be Python. We'll be using Beautiful Soup, Requests, Panda, SQL Alchemy. All of these are basically just different libraries that we'll be using that will help us, organize our code and call the functions that we need to perform the tasks that we need to perform. In terms of database, we'll be using Snowflake. Snowflake is a cloud data warehouse that you can easily spin up. I'll show you how you can easily spin up a Snowflake data warehouse to use. So Snowflake is normally paid, but luckily they offer you free trial for I think 3 months. They'll give you $400 to try their services for three or 6 months. So you can easily spin up a Snowflake data warehouse and use that for the practice and case studies that you do. So we'll also be using VS Code for our environments for our coding. All right, so in terms of looking at this, in an image format, this is the architecture of the pipeline we are trying to build. So we're starting off from the websites for us, which is the Jumia websites, and then we are trying to extract the data that we need. And we might also want to do some transformations here if we see fit. But essentially, we want to do the extract step and bring it to our Snowflake database. So the ETL that you've heard the Femina mention, ETLs, everyone says the job of a data engineer is to build ETLs. So this is an ETL in a nutshell. When you do this, maybe in your workplace, it can scale, it can become more complex, it can become even simpler. But in a nutshell, you just want to do extracts. The E is the extract. You want to extract data from somewhere, from the internet, from some other databases. But you want to extract some data that you need. You want to load this data somewhere. But before you load it, you most likely want to transform it, because the structure of the data from where you're extracting the data is often not going to be the same structure where you are loading this data. So you want to transform it. So that's the T in between the E and the L. You want to transform the data before you load. So for our architecture here, we'll be extracting the data from Python. And then most often we hear of what you call a staging layer. So staging layer is like an intermediate place where you want to keep the data first, and then before you now begin to transform. So this staging layer is not exactly necessary for our case study, or I just brought it in a standard practice, because when you begin to scale this out and work on very big data, you might not be able to actually extract and transform in memory. Because if you take away this staging schema now, you have to do the extracts and load it, transform it in memory, basically in your computer memory, and then load it into the database. So when you try to do this for very large data sets, your computer memory might not be able to handle that. Imagine trying to transform 10 million rows on a 4 gig RAM system. That might prove to be very difficult. So what you can do is you put something called a staging layer in between. So after you extract the data, you first of all store it in your staging layer, which is what we have. So that can just be a different partition. You can think about it as a different section of your database. You store it as it is, the raw way it is in your staging layer. And then from there, you pick it up and transform it. You can transform in bits, or you can transform as a whole, depending on the case that suits you. Once you're done transforming, you can now load it to your final schema, the final section where your analyst can plug into. So your analyst need to build some Power BI reports and things like that. So they can plug into the final schema that you've loaded the data into, and they can just go ahead and build their reports. So this is what we'll be trying to do today in a nutshell. So I think that's about it for this slide, and then we'll go ahead and try to run this code. All right, so let me share my screen for what we want to do. All right, Efemana, can you confirm you can see my screen again?
Hi, Joe.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
All right, so the first is we want to look at the website that we want to scrape. So again, we want to scrape the Jumia website, right? Because the laptops we want to actually extract data from their own Jumia, right? So we want to first of all try to look at Jumia.com. So we want to, see, look at the structure of what does this data, what does this website look like, how can we actually start off to script this website. So you can just, look around. I'm sure this is something that you know already. And we can just go ahead and try to, search for, since we're interested in laptops, right? So we probably want to make a search for laptops. And before we go ahead, I just wanted to show you what I was talking about for ethics. So normally before you start this, you want to, first of all, go to, so once you get to the homepage of the website, which is gmail.com.ng for us, just want to put a forward slash and put this robots.txt. So for most websites, once you put the robots.txt, it should take you to their terms of service. So basically it tells you, if you read through this, it shows you what is allowed, what you can do as a robot, because you have to think of yourself as a robot when you're trying to script a website. So it shows you what you can do as a robot and what you cannot do as a robot. So basically, the most important information is always going to be contained in the first few lines. So it lets you know that, this is what I was talking about, the rate limit. So it lets you know that you should not make more than 200 requests per minute. So they're telling you that if you want to make more than 200 requests, you need to contact their tech team. So keep that in mind. You do not try to make more than 200 requests per minute as a responsible user, just so that your IP address is not flagged. Because once it's flagged, you will not be able to script from your website again. So if you go through a whole lot of other different things that you can always look at for any website you want to script. So yeah, so once we make our search, we see we get a whole lot of different laptops that are available here. You can see that this returns about yes, about 50 search pages that we get. Each page has a whole lot of different computers, right, on the screen. So what we want to do is to actually extract information from each one of the listings, each one of this laptop. Then we want to see whether we can transform the data to fit, more like a tabular data that our analysts can plug to. And then we want to send it to Snowflake so that from there, they will be able to build dashboards and do analysis of all of this different data that you have here. Yeah, so I'll bring up my VS Code, and then let's just open up a folder for this. All right, so we basically want to, yeah, so I'll be using Jupyter Notebook to build this just so that it's easier for us to visualize the results that we are getting and make it more interactive. So we want to, let me just bring up a Jupyter Notebook so we can just call it our ETL. Yeah. So the first thing that we want to do is that we want to think about, okay, like I mentioned, we'll be using a couple of libraries that we need to make this request and, actually extract the things that we need. So request library, beautiful soup library, these are some of the things that we will be using. So I first of all want to go ahead and import the libraries I need. So I want to import the request library, and I also want to import the beautiful soup library. So I want to import beautiful soup library. So because I'll be thinking about turning this I'll be thinking about turning this to a data frame. So we also need pandas. Pandas is the library that helps you work with tabular data, in Python. So I will also want to import pandas too. Yeah. So for now, these three libraries will suffice. So for now, these three libraries will suffice. So the next thing that we want to do is that we want to actually now try to, make a request, right? We want to try to, because the first thing is we want to make a request to this website to get the data that we want. So how do you make a request? We want to first of all pass the URL that we want to send a request to, and we want to use a request library to actually say, okay, go ahead and get us everything from this particular URL that we've given you. So we want to start off with giving it a variable that we can just call URL. So we basically want this to be, so this particular URL, because this is where we want to extract the data from. So I want to actually use this as the URL. So I can just, pick all of this as my URL. So this is the URL I actually want to make the request. And then I now want to actually pass that request. So I can just call this my response, which is, and then we want to say requests. So we're using this request library we just imported now, and we are calling the get method on it. So when you say get, you're basically saying, go to this URL and get me the results, get me everything there. So I want to pass it to the URL. So let's run this and actually see whether we make that call. So we get our green check, so we've made that call. So when it comes to web scraping, generally when you make a request like this, a call, the next thing you want to do is to check if you actually got a response. So immediately you make a response, the next thing you want to check is the status code. So you want to say our response, and then we want to call the status code to see. So if we get 200, we know that our response was correct. That means the website actually responded to us, because when you make a request, basically when you load your web browser, you are saying you're calling some server somewhere to give you information. So that server gives information, that's response 200, which is positive. So I'm sure that some of you must have seen other responses. Maybe when you try to load the website, you see 404 or 501. Some of those different errors means that your response did not get a correct response. So whenever you see 200 as a response, that means you actually got the data that we wanted to get, right? So that means this response now holds the data from that website, from Jumia website. So let's actually try to see if we can look at it. So we can call the text method on it to try to actually see what is in it. So let me call the text. Yeah. So we actually see that we get a couple of HTML response from that website. So this HTML is what we actually want to go ahead and interpret, because that's where we're going to be extracting all of the different things that we want to get from that website. So, but the next thing now is, how do we want to interpret it? Because this HTML, there's a lot of things within it, right? I will show you. So when you come to this website, you can try to inspect it. So this is the beautiful website that you're seeing, all of these things. But there's a HTML that actually made this up. So you can try to see that HTML. So you can click on any content and you just right click and click on inspect. So once you click on inspect, it actually brings out the HTML that made up. So this is the HTML that actually produces this web page that we are looking at. That response that we got is actually this HTML, this HTML code that you're seeing here. So we need to be able to, look for what we want to get. So say for instance, we want to get this laptop name. We want to look for it in this response. We want to look for it within this HTML and try to see how we can extract it. So that's where Beautiful Soup comes to help us. We need to somehow pass this and be able to extract the different parts of it that we want to extract, right? So let's try to see how we do that. So yeah, we've been able to get our response and we've confirmed that our response is fine. So let's see how. Yeah, so let's try to make a nice soup. So you can just call it any variable name you want, but you can go ahead and call it Beautiful Soup. And then we want to say that we want to use Beautiful Soup that we loaded. And then we want to pass it, this response that we got. So, we got the response .txt, right? .text that we got. So we want to pass it this, and then we need to tell you how are we passing it. So there are different ways that you can pass. So you can pass with the HTML, you can pass with the LXML. So these are different, different ways you can tell Beautiful Soup to interpret it. You can say interpret it as HTML, you can say interpret it as LXML. So when you get a bit more advanced, you find the differences within this. But for most websites, they often try to produce the same results. Just that LXML is a bit more powerful. It to be able to interpret complex websites. HTML will interpret a whole lot of websites. So for us, let's just try to use the HTML parser. So we want to use the HTML parser. So we're basically saying this response we are getting interpreted for us as HTML. Let's run this, and we actually have been able to interpret it. So let's see what we have in our soup now. Yeah. So we have all of those. Yeah, so we have all of those different contents that's all those different contexts in that particular website. This is what has been interpreted for us in a HTML. So if you had more time, I would have tried to show you a typical HTML structure. But ideally, if you're a bit conversant with HTML, HTML just works majorly with tags and attributes. So let me just show you, copy this code and show you a bit of what HTML looks like. All right, so this is a simple HTML structure. So every web page will have its HTML and different ways that you can write it. But at the end of the day, you want to first of all have different tags and different attributes. So a tag is essentially what contains the information, and the attributes is how you can differentiate the tags. So something like this title now, who is a title tag, he holds the title of that web page. So this H1 is a heading tag, a first header tag. He holds some main heading. So when you go to a website, you're always going to see the title, the main heading, some paragraphs, some lists, some pictures. So all of those elements on the web page will always be contained in a tag. So when we want to find those elements, we want to look for the tag that holds that particular element. And in the website, you are going to, so this is a simple one, right? I just have one title. I have one heading, first heading, but when you go to a more elaborate website, you can have 20 different heading tags. So each of these ones, how do you differentiate them with what you call attributes? So you are going to put attributes within each tag, and that helps you differentiate. So you can say this one attribute, you can use maybe ID. You can say this one is ID1, another header is ID2. So if I want to extract this data, I will be using those tags and those attributes to actually look for what I want to extract from this website. So let's just look at this website again and see how we can do this. So this is the response I got, right? So for instance, this first one now, right? What we're trying to do is we want to actually get, what we're interested in is the name of this laptop, the price of the laptop, maybe the rating it has, the discount, things like that. So let's see where this is contained, what tag and what attributes hold this information. So again, I need to right click, right, and try to inspect it. So when I inspect it, once you hover over it, it selects what you are trying to inspect, right? So let me just move this so you can see it. So this is the one we're inspecting. So as I'm hovering over, you see what is selected, right? So what is selected is actually what's this it's actually the HTML that is representing whatever it is you're seeing here. So if I hover over this, you can see this H3 tag, right? And you can see it has an attribute of class name. So this is actually what holds the name of this laptop, right? So if I'm looking for, let's say the price, you can see there's a div tag with a class PRC. That's actually what holds that price. So same way, you can hover over and you see which particular tag and which particular attribute holds whatever information that you are looking for. So we'll find a way to use our our beautiful soup to look for this particular attributes and their corresponding tags, just so that we can extract the information that we see. Generally, as a best practice, you will try to start from the top level. So if you look at this now, you can see that there's a div here, a div tag, the class info. So if I hover over it, you see that it selects a box of everything I need, right? So even if you look at it here, you see that there's more like all these other ones are contained within this. You can say I can collapse this, I can open this. So all these other things I want, the name, the price, the discount information, even the stars, the rating, all of those are contained inside this div tag of class info. Essentially, I want to go and look for div tags with class info. So once I get that, it will hold information about all the different things I'm looking for. So I will be able to extract those particular ones. So that's what we will try to do at this point. So let's see how we can achieve that. So once we've been able to pass I can go ahead and delete this now. So once we've been able to identify the tags that we need, so and we've passed our HTML or our response as HTML using Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup gives us the find and the find all functions that we can use to look for any particular tag and its corresponding attributes. So now let's try to say soup.find, because we already have this soup that we've cooked. So we want to find some things within it, right? So what are we looking for now? So we are looking for a particular tag. So we're looking for this div tag, right? And its class is info. That's an attribute it has. It has an attribute of class, which is info. So we can achieve this by saying that we're looking for a div tag, right? And then once we pass the tag, then we can pass the attributes, so that, because there's going to be a lot of div tags. If you look at this website again, every single one of this listing, every single one of this laptop is going to have its own div tag that will contain all of this. So the class is how we can, begin to differentiate a couple of them. So I want to say, give me the div tag, and the class is, let the class be info, right? So you might say, why did I put this underscore? It's actually because class is a reserved word in Python. So the argument is class underscore. So that's how you would code this. So let's try to see if we get. So you see, we actually get that response, right? So this is, we get this div tag. Why does this not expand? All right, so but we actually do get this response that we are looking for, right? So we can see that we've gotten the name of that particular laptop, and then all those other information we are looking for are all contained within this response. So this thing holds everything that we are looking for, right? So to make it easier to read, you'd often want to attach .text at the end. So when you put .text, it basically removes all this tag and just gives you the text in it. So you want to just call it .text, and we see the things that we need. So we can see that there's the Lenovo latitude, the name, there's the price, all those other things that are there. So in a nutshell, that's how you extract single piece of information from that particular website. So what I'm going to show you now is, it's often not possible for you to begin to extract it individually. So you want to have a way to extract all of this information at a go. So how do we actually put it all together to run this, in one go? So let's see how we can do that. Well, first off, you have to think about the find all. We are using the find. So find is just going to return the very first one it sees. So when I use find, it goes to that. This is my soup, which is a website I've gotten a response for, and it just looks for a div tag with class info. So the first one it sees, it returns it. So when we use find all, it's going to return every single one that matches it. So essentially, when we use find all, we'll be returning all the different names of laptop on that page. So let's see how. So let's just use find all and see what we get. Instead of find, let's say we want to find all and run this again. Okay, it will not be a text now because it's going to be a list. Yeah. So if I use the find all, it gives me a list, and this list now has a response for every single one of the laptop on that page. See, right? So each one of those listings, we have it when we use the find all. So we'll be using, when we're putting it together, we'll be using the find all to say, okay, each laptop, get this, extract all the information, send it to our table. So that is what we're going to try to do next for our scraping. Yeah, so let me just see, putting it together. Yeah. So again, first off, let's just say we want to have some empty lists, right? That will hold the information, because for each of these particular ones, okay, let me just show you this here again. So when we run the soup.find, when we run this soup.find, before I make it text, So you can see that, we have a couple of different things lodged together, right? We have the price, we have the name, we have the discount, all of this information are joined together. So, but we can actually separate them. So let's say I just want the price alone. So you can see I want the name alone. So you can see that the name within this particular response, this is also still HTML, right? There's still a H3 tag with a class name that actually holds this particular the name of the laptop. So it's like a drill down. This one I've done gives me the first container. I can drill down to get the next leg. So I can still say that. So let me just say that this is my listing. So this listing, I'm just saying, this actually gives me this whole container is one listing, or you can say one bucket. So this is one listing, one laptop. So I now want to drill down to extract further information from it. So I can say, listing. So same thing, I want to find, because this is still beautiful soup, right? No, we've not converted it to text. So this is still the HTML. So I can say find again on it. So what am I finding this time? I just want to look for the H3 tag with the class name, because now I just want the name alone. So I want to say, let's just call this name is equal to, I'm looking for a H3 tag now with a class of name. If I run this, let's print name and see what we get. So let's just call name. Yeah, so you can see that this now gives us only the name of the laptop. So if we just do .text so that we don't see, yeah, we do .text on it. This just gives us the name of that laptop alone. So this is what we will try to do for each of the information that we want. So this is us getting the name. So if we wanted to get the price, we will do the same thing. Just look for the tag that holds the price and its attributes. If we want the discount, we will look for the tag that holds it and its attributes. So any piece of information that we want to extract from here, we will be able to extract it. So that's what we'll try to do when we are putting it together. So let's see now how we can do that. All right, so like I was mentioning, first thing is we want to have somewhere where so for here now, you can see that we've gotten this name. So where do we put it? Because now we're going to be getting multiple names. We're going to be getting multiple prizes, multiple discounts, because we now want to try to get all of these things at once, right? So I want to have some empty lists where I can store these things as I'm getting them. So for the names, I just want to create an empty list that will hold the names I eventually begin to extract, right? I also want to create an empty list called prices that will hold different prices. I want to also create old prices, because I know some of them have old prices and then the discounts. So I also want to get the old prices. And let's say I also want to get the discounts. So I also want to have an empty list that holds the discounts. And what else can I get? Yeah, there's a review on the page, right? So I can also get reviews, have an empty list that holds the reviews. So all of this empty list is what we want to now begin to add data into. So again, we have to remember that we are querying this URL, right? So let's just also get this code. So that's for what we are putting together. So this is the URL that we want to actually web script, or we actually want to script. So we are making the request to it, and we're getting our response. So the next thing, like we mentioned earlier, is that we want to pass it to Beautiful Soup, right? So we want to cook our soup, which is what we already did here. So we just want to do this, so that we just get our soup ready for us to actually begin to find a couple of things within it. So yeah, so once this is done right now, so we want to actually say, initially the one we've been doing individually, but we actually want to first of all get all those listings. So let's just call them listings, because there are multiple listings on that page. So we want to find all, right? Which is what we already did then. We want to find all, similar to what we just did here, right? This thing that returns, we want to find all of this div with the class of info, right? So let me just copy this. Yeah, so if we do a find all for all the divs class of info, this should return all the listings on that page for us, right? So what we want to do now is to try and have a loop that actually goes through each of this listing and extracts those price. So within here, let's say we have 50 different listings in here. So we want to say, take the first listing, extract the name, put it into this our empty list, extract the price, put it here, extract the old price, put it here, extract all the information and put it into our list. Then go to the next listing, do the same thing, extract the name, put it here, extract the price, put it here, do the same thing for every single listing that we have. So that at the end of the day, we are going to have 50 names, assuming there are 50 listings on the page. We're going to get 50 prices, 50 old prices, just like that. And once we have our data structured in this way, we'll be able to easily turn it into a tabular format. So now that we have our listing, we want to what you call a for loop. You want to iterate through every single listing and then extract the information that you need. And yeah, guys, apologies, I'm not adding different comments here. I'll just add the comments later if I need to share this with you. But just try to understand the flow now. And by the time you get the notebook, it's more easy for you to follow through. So I want to put my for loop here. So I want to basically say for listing. So I want to say, so I'm just calling it listing. I can call it for X, for Y, for whatever. But the important thing is that for a single item in listings. So what I'm trying to say here is that for every single item in this listings, so that's how you do an iteration. You want to say, take this first one, do some things, take the next one, do some things. So for every single listing in my listings, I want to run some things. So let me start my extraction. So for each listing, what's the first thing I want to extract? The name, right? So I want to say that the name is equal to, we already know how we extract the name. So, well, ideally when you do this, you have to go back and forth to remember that, how do we extract the name? Because you can see that we've extracted this class. So yeah, we've extracted this top level, right? That's this entire container. That's a class of info, which is what we've extracted for this one. So where's the name? It's in the history tag with the class of name. So that's what we want to extract next for each of those listings. So for the name, I want it to be, the soup I have, or rather it's listing now because we've called it listing. It's going to be listing dot I want to find, right? Now I'm not doing find all because remember, I just have one listing now because I'm doing an iteration. So I'm saying for each listing, so take one listing in all those things I return. So all those 50 different listings I have, take one listing and begin to extract. So I'm not now doing find all, I'm doing find because it's one at a time now. So I want to find. What do I want to find? For the name, it's a history tag, right? And what's the class? The class is, if I remember correct, is name. So this is what we want to get for our names, right? So when we get this, remember, it's going to come with all the, I think we did this earlier, right? Yeah, it's going to come. So this is similar to what we're just doing now. So we want to call it the text on it to actually strip it out. So it just becomes a text. If you don't call it the text on it, it's going to have the different tags around it, but we don't need the tags, we just need the text. So I want to also call the text on it. And then now I've extracted the name, I want to add it to my list. In Python, when you want to add a variable to a list, you say append. So I want to say my names, which is my list. I want to say dot append. So append this name. So guys, look at this. I'm saying for each listing in the listings, I want to, get the name. And once I get the name, I want to append. I want to add the name to my names. So that way, I've been able to extract name. So we move on. What's the next thing we want to extract? Price. So we'll repeat the same thing. So this is us getting the names. We want to repeat the same thing for prices, right? So remember, I'm still within my for loop, okay? So I want to get the same thing, my prices. So I want to say my price. What will be my price listing that we have? And I want to also find. So how do we find our price? Let's look at our website again. So if you look at, so we're looking for this price for this one is 130,000, right? So we can see that it's within this div with a class of PRC. So that gives me my price. So that's what I'm looking for now. So we'll be looking for a a div tag, and its class is PRC. Yeah. So this will give me the price. And again, remember, I want to call .txt on it. I want to strip all of these things. So similar to what we did, we just want to say prices.append price. So we found the price and then we're just adding it to our list. So what's the next information we want to get? We want to get the old prices, right? So let me just see, I'm looking for the old prices now. And again, the old price. So this just looks like us repeating the things that we've done. So again, for the listing, I want to find. So how do I get the old price? So this would be back and forth, going back to inspect your HTML. So the old price is this one that is marked bad, right? So, and you can see that if I look within it, I can see that it looks like it's hidden within this div with a class of SPRC, because there are multiple things within here. You can see that there is the old price and then there's a discount. So it looks like it's lodged together within this. And I can see I can expand it to see. Yeah, so you can see that the old price is in a div with a class of old, and the discount, I can also see that you can actually do this. And the discount is in a div with a class of this BDG DSCT underscore SM. So that's two ways we'll be getting the old price and discount. So let's go ahead and do that. But one caveat here though. So this is because normally if you do this on your own, you run it, your code will probably break and then you figure out what is the problem. So, but because I know that this might already give us a problem, you can notice that not all the laptops are going to have a discount, right? So for this one, for instance, it doesn't have a discount. So what happens if it meets a laptop that doesn't have a discount? What do you want it to do? So you just want it to put maybe a missing value or 0 or whatever you want to put for the old price. So you need to think about this at this point. So before I go ahead to code it, I want to think about how do I handle when a laptop that doesn't have this old price. So let's just see how we can do that. All right, so before I go ahead to say I want to find my old price, I want to just use an if statement. I'm sure a couple of people are familiar with what an if statement does. An if statement is saying, I want to do something when something is true, and when I also want to do another thing when it's false. So what I'm trying to say is, when there's an old price, I want to get the old price and append. When there's no old price, I want to just append 0 or append null or append missing value, however you want to code it. So I want to first of all put an if statement. So I want to say so how do I know if there's a listing? If there's an old price, I have to check for the old price. If I check it and it returns a value, I will take it. If it doesn't return a value, I want to add 0. So I want to say if that listing dot find. So what am I finding? So if I look here, I can see that what actually holds this listing is this, or is it now? Yeah, this div class with an old, so this class with SPRCW. So that's what holds our old price and our discount. So we want to check if this exists for that listing, get it. If it doesn't exist, just append maybe a missing value. So we want to say, yeah, if I'm looking for, what am I looking for now? I'm looking for that div, right? Looking for the div. And what's the class of that div? The classes. So let me just copy that particular copy that particular one. Yeah, so S underscore P, S underscore PRC underscore W. Yes. S underscore PR underscore W. Should I get that right? Okay. Yeah. So we got that. I think it's not underscores, it is this. So it looks like this is what we are looking. So if I find this, I want to extract my old price. My old price will now be, I will be looking for, if you remember, our old price was in the div, the class of old. So I want to say div, and it's a class called old. And then that would be the old prices. And then again, you call txt on it. And I also want to, so this is old price. And then I want to append this to the old prices I have, right? Dot append. I want to append this old price. So once I get that, I can also now go ahead and get the discount as well. So the discount will be what? So I can, just for time, I can copy the code at this point. So, but for our discounts, the class is not old, right? If you look at it, remember that the class was something like BDG underscore there. So this was what we got for the discount. So I will also, copy that. So that's what we got for, that's what we have for our class. So instead of old, this is the class we are going to be looking for. All right. So, and then call the txt, and then we can go ahead and append this as well to our list. So we'll append, and then we append the discount we just got. So we've been able to get a couple of things, the name, the price, the discount. Remember, for the discount and the old price, we used an if statement. So if it exists, we want to append all of this. What if it doesn't exist? So that's where our else statement comes in. If it doesn't exist, we want to append a different thing to our old price and a different thing to our discount. So I will just say old prices, old underscore prices dot append. So what do I want to append? So many ways you can think about it. You can say you want to append this 0, but my choice is always trying to append them a missing value. So in Python, missing values, you can call missing values in the numpy, and just call numpy.nan. So Python lists missing values as nan. So I can say I also want to import numpy. So this is how I will be able to code missing values. You want to code it this way so that universal is recognized, because 0 can be an old price of 0. But if I use an actual missing value, that there's no old price. So I want to say np.nan. So in Python, this is how you code missing values. So np.nan just says there's no value there at all. So this is what I want to append if there's no discounts. Same thing for the discounts. I also want to append np.nan. There's no discount there. So this is how far we've come at this point. We've been able to. So I think the last thing we need to do is to extract the reviews as well. So, and similar to what we had for the other one, there could be reviews, there could be no reviews. So you want to think about, are there reviews? So we'll do similar to what we did earlier. If there are reviews, you want to add it. If there are no reviews, you want to not add it. So let's just quickly look at how we can pick out the reviews. So the reviews is this. How do we pick that out? So which particular one are we looking at now? Where's the one we're looking at? Okay, somewhere up. For time, let's just inspect another one because I'm missing out. So this one has reviews, so let's just inspect it again. All right, so this is it. Where do we get our reviews? So we can see that I think it's within here. Yeah. Yeah, so I can think it's within here, and you can see there's a div class here called the stars, and then the reviews is just within it. So you can just pick out the stars for the reviews. Yeah, so let's do that. So we're looking for a div with a class of stars, and then that's what we want to pick out as the reviews. So let's quickly code that. So if, again, we want to check if there's anything like that. So we're looking for a div tag with a class of what? The class we're looking for now is the stars S. Yeah, I think that's it. So if we find it, we want to go ahead and append. If we don't find it, we want to just go ahead and append the other ones. So because of time, I will just, you would know the code we're expecting at this point. Yeah. So if we find the rating, we want to append this. I can take away this for now. Reviews. And then we want to append it to the reviews. All right. All right. So what we're basically doing is we want to check if there's a review. And if we find it, we append it. If we don't find it, we want to just append a missing value. So this is my else statement is going to be outside. All right, so similar to what we did with our old prices, then for our reviews, we are basically saying the same thing. So if we find that if there's there's a review for it, we want to go ahead and find it, and then we want to append it. If there's no review, we just want to actually append a missing value. So by the time we run this, all our lists will have every single one of those items, and then we want to just convert this to some tabular data. So let's run this and see if we actually get what we want. Yeah, I need to get my numpy again. So I ran this code already and I modified it. So let's run this again. Yeah, so this has been able to get the data that we want. So let's just look at our name and see. So we actually get the names of those laptops. Names rather, it's the names. Yeah, so we get all the different names of the laptops. And if we see what is in our prices, we get the prices of all the laptops. Same way if you try to see our discounts, we get all the discounts for all the different laptops. So those ones that didn't have discounts, we've added missing values and then for them. So the next thing we want to do is we want to convert this to tabular data. Everyone likes a tabular data, right? So we want to make a pandas data frame. In Python, you call most of your tabular data pandas data frame. So for us to do this, we just want to say that our data will be equal to, so we'll be calling the pd.data frame. I don't think we imported pandas, did we? Yeah, we did import pandas. Okay, we did not import. Can import as pd. Yeah. So we'll be using the pd.data frame. So this is how you want to make a tabular data. And then it normally takes a dictionary and you can just pass it and key value pairs. By the time you get into Python properly, you will learn some of these data types. But for now, we'll be using a dictionary to construct our data frame. So key value pairs, what do we want our column names to be and what are going to be the values within the column? So for the name, so this is going to be the name will be the column. What do we want to be in the name? We want to be the names, right? What's the other column? We also have a column for price, right? We want to have a column for price. What do we want to add in that column for price? The prices we got. So what next? What other column do we have? We have a column for old price, right? So what do we want to be in that old price? We want to be the old prices. That's the list of old prices we have. What else? We have discounts. What do we want to have? The discounts that we have. And then finally, the rating or the review rather. So for the review, what do we want to have? We want to have the reviews. Yeah, the reviews. So this should be able to produce our pandas data frame for us. And let's just visualize it. I did not spell this properly. Pandas.data frame. All right, so that gets us the tabular data that we have been trying to get. So we can see from our website with our beautiful soup and everything that we've done, we've gotten this very nice data frame that we can see the different prices of the laptops, the different names, the prices, the old price, the discount, and the review. So if you notice, the review is coming in something like 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, So some of the transformation you might want to do is, actually try to make this just 5, not 5 out of 5. You might want to remove the percentage sign and convert this to an actual percentage. Maybe you just want to say 0.5, so 50%. The old price, you probably want to remove this naira here because for this to be a numerical column, you don't want the naira. Similar to do the same thing here. So just want to do some of these transformations and then actually load it to your database so that your analyst can take this data So that is the engineering work, right? When the analyst plugs in, analyst doesn't really, know the pains you've gone through to bring in all of this data, but hey, that's your job. The analyst is going to build the pretty dashboards, and you're going to be there to make sure that they get the data they need for their pretty dashboards and all of the analysis that they need to do. So yeah, we've been able to do this, and you can see that we're just getting about 38, because it starts from 0, 38 data sets. 38 different laptops. So one more thing I will show you before we go ahead to load this data into our table is this is just 38 laptops, right? So one other very important thing that can help you stand out when you do web scraping is your ability to try to code in a way that you get more data, because this request that I've been able to make now is actually just returning one single page, right? So if I look at this, let me just close this for now. I'm just getting all the laptops here, right? But I have about 50 pages. We talked about it before. We had 50 pages. So how do I get data from all these 50 pages? Because you know that after I scrapes here, if I click on, so this is the URL I have, right? This is where I sent the request. If I go to my page 2, I'm sending the request to a different place. So this is now, this is a different place. You can see that it now has this extra variable or argument for page equal to 2. So how can we try to go through each of these pages and extract the data so that we'll have a very rich data set? 39 laptops, probably not enough for them to do some market analysis. So you want to be getting all of data sets there. So you want to go through each of these pages to get the data set. So how do you think we can do that? Let's see how we can try to modify our code to be able to do this. So the first thing we want to do is that we want to modify where we are making this request. We want to make it dynamic, so that, because that the only thing that changed is, let me just copy out this again, or let me copy out up until this point, so that we try it again. So this is for multiple web pages. I want to go through multiple web pages. So you notice that the one thing that has changed now is that a new argument has been added. If you look at this, so every page has the page equal to the page name. So if I go to page 3, for instance, I will see page equal to 3. Yeah, I'll see page equal to 3. So this catalog listing is just a hashing. So even if I remove this and run this again, we're still going to get the response I expect. So we can just say this is the URL. So how can we add page to multiple calls to the URL, so that for each page we extract, we get all the data we want, we go to the next page, we extract, we get all the data we want, we go to the next page till we get to the 50th page. So that's what we want to try to do now. So how do we do that? So first of all, we want to make this dynamic, right? So instead of saying just ending in that laptop, we want to append that other argument there. It was on the page, right? And page equal to. So now we don't know whether it's equal to 1 or 2 or 3. We just want to add a variable there, so we can put a placeholder. So when you put a colon before a variable, this can be A, B, or this can be whatever. I can call it this page, whatever variable I want to put, I just call it A. So once you put a colon like this in front of a variable, you are saying this is a placeholder. I'm going to replace this with something later. So this A will be replacing it with page 1 when we want to make the request to page 1. We'll be replacing with page 2 when we want to make the request to page 2, and things like that. So for here, once we had that URL, we went right ahead to make a request to it. When we are saying give us our response, or if we want to modify things a bit, we want to say that there are different pages. So for each page, make the call, extract the data, go to the next page. So this is more like adding another for loop on top of the for loop that we have. So I know it becomes a bit tricky, but just stay with me, right? So what we want to say is that for page, and so we've checked our website, so we have about 50 pages. So we basically say for page, and in Python we do this with what you call a range. We want to say a range of something to something. So since we are doing 50 pages, you can say a range that will accommodate 50 numbers. Let me just show you what this looks like. Let's put a cell here for illustration. So I can say something like for range, or for I, for whatever, for I in a range of ranges, where do you want to start from and where do you want to stop from +1? Because Python does this 0 indexing, so it's always +1 for where you want to stop. So for, let's say, range of 1, and I want to stop at 50, so I'll do 51. So let me just say, just print the I. So you see how this, I'm basically saying just different I just wanted to count from range of 1 to 50, for instance. If I print this, you see, basically just counts all the way to 50. But this is similar to what I want to do. I want to use this to tell you that you need to do 50 loops. You need to go iterate 50 iterations of this loop. So you want to make that request 50 times. And yeah, this is safe for us because if you remember, they said we can't go more than 50, more than 200, but we're doing 50 now. So this is relatively safe. So we want to remove this. And that's what we want to add here. So for each page in that range, right, we want to say range of 1 to 51. So what do we want to do when we do that range? So every other thing we did before follows. So we just added another for loop on top of it. So every other thing that we did earlier, we'll just, follow normally. So we want to, I can just say, let's just copy the code that we already have so that we're not typing again. Yeah, let's copy this. Yeah, so for in that range, so this will require us to modify some of our indexing, but I will just do that. So everything we copied here, they need to move in one step. Because we are now within another loop, right? So then I just need to indent them one step. Yeah. So I'm just saying, for each page, right, send a response. So initially we did the response is by getting the URL, but now we are calling an argument on the URL, right? We have this A now. So every time we make that request, we want this A to be something. So this page, when we go the first time, it's going to be 1. When we go the next time, it's going to be 2. So we want to always, add this that page number, that 1, 2, 3 to the URL. So instead of just the URL, we need to add, so we say page. So we are now saying that, for the first time, for page, the first time is going to be 1. And get that URL, use the page, that's 1. Next time you go number 2, use the page as 2. Number 3, use the page as 3. So once you do that, every other thing we do follows. You pass your soup, you get all the listings on that page, you extract all the data, we go to the next page. So for each page, it's going to do all of these things. And then it comes to the next page. It does all of these things, and then it comes to the next page till it gets to the 50th page. So that's what we will be doing. So again, after we do that, we also need to go ahead and make our data frame similar to what we just did earlier. So I can also add that here as well. Yeah, so after we do that, we need to make our data frame. Let's run it all together now and see what we get. So this might take a bit longer because now initially we did just 1 page, so that was fast, but now we're making 50 different pages. So that will take a bit longer. Once it's done, we'll be able to get all of those laptops on all the 50 pages. So our data sets will be richer than what we're just getting from 1 page. So let's see how long that takes. So let's estimate maybe 2 minutes for it to get all those responses. All right, perfect. So we've been able to get, so you can see that we have now about 2,000 different laptops and all their details. So this makes, way more sense, and this is, way more richer data set for our analysts to work with. So we've been able to look through every single one of those pages and get the data that we need. So that essentially completes our extract step. So the next step in the pipeline will be for you to do some transformation. And then the final step will be for you to actually load it into some table. So this essentially completes, extraction. So let's try to say transformation. Yeah. So again, because of time, right, we won't be doing much transformations. So let's just say we want to remove, so this is 5 out of 5, we just want to print the 5, right? And maybe we just want to remove the percentage sign and all of this Naira sign, and maybe turn them to appropriate data types, because 280,000, you don't want to have this commas in it and things like that. So just minimal transformations that we can do. So the first one is let's remove the 5 5 out of 5. Let's just have 5. So majorly we'll be trying to do the split. So if you split this on space, so split is how you say, okay, just split this particular string or this particular word on a character. So if we split on space, we'll have a couple of outputs. 5 will be one output, out will be one output, off will be one output, and 5. So if we select just the first output, it will give us the first one, right? Similar to this, if we split on percentage, it will be 50 one side and just nothing on the other side because there's nothing after 50%. So if you select the first one, that gives us the 50. Same way if we split on naira here, don't know why we'll have a naira sign, but we can split on space. So if you split on space, the naira should be 1, and then the actual 560,000 should be another one. So we can just take that. So that's all we'll try to do here. So for this, let's just see the transformations. First one, so we call the data. So this is how you subset for a particular column. So we are subsetting for the review column, right? So this just gives us only the review column. So this is the one we first of all want to transform. So we want it to be data, and then we're subsetting for the review. And then we just want to say, strip this or split this rather. So we want you to split it. So I think the first thing to make it strings, so split this. And what we want to split? We want to split on space. So we just want to split on the space. And when we split it on the space, we want to take the first one, right? So we want to take the first one, which is 0. So index 0. Again, Python uses 0 indexing. So the first one will be index 0. So when we take this, we're basically saying for this column, we want to modify it to be split on the space and take the first output. So let's call this, and then let's just print this to see what it looks like. Yeah. So we do this. Again, I missed out mentioning a step, but because we're teaching data engineering, as a standard practice, once you're done with your extract, you need to make a copy of your data frame before you go to transform it. Because when you are doing transformations, things can go wrong and you will mess up your data sets. You saw this extraction took us in about 2 minutes plus to get. When you do this in real life, you can have extractions that take hours to complete. So when you mess up the data you've gotten, you don't want to go back and repeat that step because it's often not feasible. So the next thing, you want to make a copy of it so that you have the one you extracted and the one you're modifying, just so that if you make a mistake, you can just go back. So where we just see, let me just make a copy, right? So I can just say, let's call it data copy. Is equal to data, just call it dot copy on it. And if I run this, I should have this data copy and I should have my original data so that I'm using my data copy for my transformations. If I make a mistake, I can go back to my original one. So let me be using the data.copy and data.copy. So let's call this data.copy. Yeah, let's run this and see where's the error we are getting. Let me see just this. Yeah, sorry, I'm just cover up this so that we can see our original code. All right. Why am I not able to split? me check what's the issue why we can't split that, guys. Let's try to do that in the loop. Oh, okay, so the error we're getting is that we are not able to split this particular missing values. Yeah, so we're not able to split these missing values. So ideally to do this, we would have tried to, try to split it on the point of extraction so that we are not, able to split this NANs. So what we can do is to just try to do the splitting at the extraction stage. So that would, so where we get in the reviews. So before we append the reviews, so we can just try to split it. Say the review is equal to, so let's just split it at this point. Review dots split, and we split on space, and we take the first one. Yeah, so that should solve the issue. So if we do that, that reduces the transformations that we want to do. So we'll now go right ahead and try to do the other transformations. The other transformation we want to do is that might still also require us to do it at the point of extraction because some of them have missing values. But since we know that for the price, I think we will all get values for price. So let's just do transformation for the price. Old prices might also give an error. We need to do it closer to the source because of the missing values. So let's do for the price. Then we can see how we can go ahead and load this data set. So let this complete so that we'll go ahead and do our loading. So while this is running, so preparing for our loading, let me just show you the things that we need to do for our loading. Okay, seems like this is done, our data. All right, so because I added it closer to the extraction step, I can see that it's been able to split that. So these missing values are no longer an issue for us. So we're going to extract and adjust the actual values from it. So 5s here for all the different star ratings. So similar thing, you want to do the old price within your loop because you also have some missing values that will cause issues. For the price, we can try to see if we can split the price here. So this is and then let's see our data copy and our price. Let's see if we can split this. We want to split. So what are we splitting? We're splitting on space and we're taking the second one because if we split on space, the Naira will be the first one and the actual value will be the second one. So we split on space and we want to take the second one with the index 1. Yeah, so we actually get a split on the space. So this now becomes 1 and this now becomes the second one. Do we need to index again? Yeah, so that gets us just the value that we need. So something like this index. So when we index it, it still gives us a list because it looks like there are still some other spaces within it. And when we index again, it gives us just the value that we want. So this is a transformation that we want to do on that data set. So we can write this back to the original column to actually transform the data. Yeah, so we can run this. And so when we print our data again, our data copy again, we see that we've removed that from our prices. So, different transformations that you can do, but at the end of the day, you just want to, what makes sense for the data that you find, data that you want to have. We are just trying to do all of this because, we expect that this is supposed to be a numeric column. They might want to do some aggregations like average price, average price for HP laptops, average price for Dell laptops, and things like that. So you can take this further. You might even want to try to split on the commas and then try to remove these commas, or you can just just go right ahead and remove the commas from all of these things. So many different transformations that you can do, just depend on what makes sense for you. Let's see how we can actually try to do loading. So yeah, so this is Snowflake. So when you want to do this or when you want to replicate this, just Google Snowflake and try to sign up. The sign up process is quite straightforward. You want to create an account and verify your email address, and you get, I think, 3 or 6 months free trial, and you just want to try to see if you can use this to the other databases that you can use. You can also, if you have Postgres on your system, of course, you can load to Postgres, any database of your choice. So to do this, the first thing we want to do is that, you have to create a database, right, for your analysts to connect, or where you want to load the database. So you want to have a database. So if I go to my data, that's the first thing that we want to create. You want to create a database. So we can just, try to create a database. So what do we call this database? Because our company is TechMart, we can just call it TechMart, and we create this database. So this database has been created for us, TechMart, and if we look into it now, we currently don't have any table within it. So we just have the default schemas that come from it. So remember, for what we try to do, we want to have 2 schemas. We want to have, or what you call, sections in your database. You want to have the staging section where you load the data initially. And then most times you want to write SQL to do some transformations. By the time you get into data engineering more, you hear things like data maths. You might want to hear of procedures, things that you want to do on that data to actually change it more to what your business wants. Because you might actually bring in this laptop data, but the way we've gotten it, and your business unit A wants it in one structure. Your business unit B wants it in another structure. Different business units wants it in another structure. So how do you do it? You first of all bring the data into the staging table, and then you begin to use what you call SQL procedures to transform them into different formats for your different business users. And then just have them in different tables, but everything will be feeding off that table you have on the staging environment. So how do we go ahead to create the staging environment? So we want to actually go right ahead and we can say create schema. And we can create and say we want to create a schema called, let's call it STG. And then you go ahead and create it. So I can create this from here, or I can actually write SQL to create the schema. So create this schema. And then if you come within here, you can see that we now have a schema called STG. So normally this is one section. So you might want to have another section that you can just call maybe EDW. EDW is normally the enterprise data warehouse. That's the one that the business knows, because the business most times will not know about the staging. It's your intermediate layer. So this is the one that they will most likely be connecting to. So we can just create this, and we now have 2 schemas within our environments: the staging and then the production one that the users will connect to. So within each one, we can actually go ahead and create tables. But for this one, I want to try to actually write SQL, just so that you guys are getting a bit conversant with how you can write SQL of your own. So we want to just in Snowflake, there are things you call worksheets. So worksheet is like the editor where you will write your SQL query. So I want to create my worksheet. And this is where I want to create the table that I actually want to bring into this environment. So I want to say create table. Create table. So what do I want to call the table? I can say laptops. Let me just say junior. But I want to create it on the staging environment, right? So you want to attach the schema on it. So when you see schema.table name, so the schema is the STG, and then we're creating the table name, laptops junior. So I'm doing this because we are working with the concept that we will do this for multiple e-commerce websites, right? So we're going to also be bringing in another table and maybe from Conga and another different table, and then at the end of the day, we'll try to aggregate data and stuff like that. So I'm creating this table, and what are the columns I expect in my table? The first one is the name column. So when you want to create a table, you have to, this is what you call a DDL, data definition language. So I'm creating a table that will hold my data. So I need to tell it all of the columns and the structure of each of these columns. So the name, I expect it to be long. So I can just say this is a text column, right? So I can just call it text column. And then what's the other column that we have? We have price, right? Because, we've not done every single one of the transformations that we need to do. So I think our text column is, so yeah, so this is not yet an integer. So all of this, they are still text column. So we can just go ahead and use text column for it. So, yeah, so price, we can just use this text, or you can use another data type you call VACA. VACA is when, if I want to say VACA, I can say VACA, let's say VACA 20. So this is also a text, but it's not free text. I'm saying that it's text that will not exceed 20 characters. So this is another data type that you get in SQL. So after price, I have an old price. That's a old price, and I want this to also be VACA. I just keep with the 20 that we are creating. And then we have our discounts, right? Discounts, so you can just say VACA. That one is smaller, so we can say VACA 10. And then the last one that we have, which is our review, right? Our review, since we already converted it to, I think we stripped it, so converted it to integers. But because it's our staging table, we can just keep everything as our VACAs. Let's call it VACA song, of course, canvas 5. So this is the table that we want to create that we will load our data. So let's actually try to run this. We need to check our context. So in Snowflake, there are things you call context. You want to see where you are running this. So you want to see which of the databases you are running this within. So I can go back to my databases to confirm where I created this table. So I can see that I created it in my TechMart database. So I need to change my context of my my editor to this TechMart so that it actually sees actually creates a table within here. So I can go back to my data and rather my projects, and I pick the script that I was just editing, and I want to modify my, so I'm using, I can use this warehouse, and yeah, let's see if we create it. I did not spell my VACA right. VACA. Yeah, so let's try running this again. All right, so I need to call the database I want. So let me just say use database. So which database do I want to use? I want to use the TechSmart. This database. So I tell you that I'm using this database. So I need to first of all run this to tell it to use this database. And then I can now run this. So I actually create this database within. Yeah, so it tells me that my table has successfully been created. So if I go back to my databases and I click on my TechSmart and I click on my STG, probably need to refresh this. I should see my STG. Let me refresh this, see if it populates. So if I go within tables, yeah, I see the table I created, the laptop junior table. So this table now exists on my database, and I actually want to now go ahead and load data into it. So as just an overview of Snowflake, if you had the CSV data you just wanted to bring in and test around Snowflake, you can actually click on load data, and you can import some CSV file from your directory, as your file system within your computer, and just load some data and try your hands with probably you're learning SQL and stuff. You can bring in data to your Snowflake environment for what you want to do. But for us, we want to load this data we have on our Python environment, right? So let's see how we can achieve that. All right, so let's just do our loading. So for us to load our database, we have to actually make a connection to that database. Because here where I signed into my Snowflake, when you do this on your own, you have to actually put in your username and your password and connect. So we have to do the same thing on our VS Code here. So we have to create a connection, and it is with that connection that we actually now go to load that table. So some of the libraries that will help us is something you call SQL Alchemy. So in Python, SQL Alchemy is the library that helps you to connect to different databases. For now, we're connected to Snowflake. You can connect to Postgres, to Oracle database, any database of your choice. You can use SQL Alchemy. So from SQL Alchemy, you want to import something you call an engine. So an engine is basically the powerhouse, that connection you want to create is called an engine. So once you power up that engine, your database, you have that pipeline to your database, and then you can use that engine to now send data to and through your database. So we'll be using this to create our engine. So one thing I want to show you is when you begin to learn how to build pipelines, it's very good at an early stage that you learn how to manage your credentials. Because here now, for me to do this connection, I have to put in my username and my password. And these are very important credentials for any organization, because you don't want people outside the organization to know the details, how they can sign into your database, because they can go there and manipulate things, right? So you want to make sure that these credentials are hidden. Maybe you are pushing your code to GitHub and things like that. You want to make sure that you're not, putting your credentials. When we want to sign in here, we don't want to sign in with our, we don't want to have to just, write our passwords out there on the open. So you often want to use something called an environment variable. So what we can do is that we want to come here and create a file called an environment variable, just a .env. So this is, as you can see, right, when you create it, just turns into a configuration file. So you want to put in all those credentials you want to use here. And once we put it here, we're not going to open this file again. And when we are sharing our code, pushing to GitHub and all, we're not going to push it with this environment variable. We're just going to be referencing our usernames, passwords, account identifiers and all those things from here, but we are not going to be making it visible for anybody. So I will just copy my own details and just put in there for illustration. Yeah. So something like this. So this is my credentials to my Snowflake. So basically what you'll be needing is your username, your password, something you call an account identifier, database you're connecting to, the schema you want to connect to, and the warehouse you want to connect to, the data warehouse. So all of these things, you would have created them on Snowflake. So you remember I've created the schema, created the database, there was a data warehouse within it. So I'll show you how you can get your account identifier when you're on Snowflake. So once you go to your Snowflake and come to the admin panel here, so you can go to, so if you wanted to create a new data warehouse, when you start up, it's always going to be the default data warehouse, which is this compute.bh that you have. So you can create your own data warehouse and just click on the new warehouse and create your own if you want to have your own. So if you come to accounts, you actually see so this is your account identifier. So once you click on this plus button here, you see it brings out this account identifier. So everything before the snowflake.computing.com is the identifier. So if I copy this entire thing and take it to my VS Code, so my account identifier. So if you copy everything there, I already did that. But just this part, everything before your snowflake.computing.com is your account identifier. Yeah, so that's what you need. So I will stop sharing screen for a moment just to put my own password, and then I will bring it back. Then I will no longer open this environment variable file again. That's the idea of it. That's how you conceal, your credentials. So I will just stop sharing for 1 second to put my own credentials.
Sure, are we good?
Yes, yes. I just had to stop sharing for a minute so I can put my own credentials.
Oh, okay. That's fine. For sure.
Yeah. All right, you can see my screen again now, right? All right, so I've been able to, put all the credentials I have within there, and I've saved the file. So I'm not going to be referencing this file again. So this is like you having a vault, like you stored the credentials somewhere in the vault, and you will be able to access this vault. Other people can access the vault. So I was referencing that because we'll be using something you call an EMV here. So we'll be using the EMV variable to actually, try to connect to this database. So let's see how we can do that. We want to bring in another library called ENV, so .env. So it's basically how you can interact with an environment variable once it's an environment variable within your system. So I want to say from .env, I want to import load.env. Yeah, so this is what I want to use to load those environment variables. So once you have done this, you want to initialize that env. So I want to call load dot yeah load.env, and I want to tell you that I have this .env variable, so it needs to go there and load those variables that are there into Python memory so that I can begin to access them. So I want to say I want to load dot, so it's just a .env file. But this is what I want to load into my environment. So once I've done this, I can go ahead to actually create my engine. So because of time, I will just, copy out the code for you that you need to create your engine. Again, all these are codes that you can always reference from documentations, different documentations online. So I also need the OS library to be able to interact with this file system. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically saying that, I want to create this engine, and I'm calling the create engine imported from SQL Alchemy. And what you expect a couple of arguments like the user, the password, the account identifier, the database, the schema, the data warehouse I'm connecting to. So I just want to pass all these arguments to the user. I want to use the os.getEnv. So this getEnv it's coming from this .env I have. So I want to use it to actually, get the user. So you remember when we created our env file, we had user equals. So what this is going to do, I'm not going to go there and get my user, to go there and get my password, to go there and get my account identifier, go there and get my database, all of these different things, to go there and get them. So this is a better way for you to write your code than actually just say user, you type out your user, password, you type out your password, because that is not the safe way. So once we do this, so let's run this to see if we are able to create our engine. Yeah, so it seems like our engine is fine. That's been created. So once we have that engine, we basically now want to go ahead and load this data to a particular database that we have. So we'll also be using, so we have our data copyrights. We still have this. Yeah. So this is the data that we'll be loading into our database. We'll be using pandas. So pandas gives us the .to-SQL. So we can use a data frame .to-SQL to actually load some data to a database. So how do we want to do that? So we basically just want to say this data we want to load. We want to call the .to-SQL to it. So just as an illustration, you have a whole lot of other different ways. As I wanted to save this to a CSV file, I can use .to-CSV or .to-Excel, different things. But now I'm sending it to a SQL database or a SQL table. So I'm going to say .to-SQL. So what he expects is that he expects what is the table I'm loading it into. So the table we created was a laptops junior, I think, right? So he expects the engine you want to use. So what's the engine you want to use to actually load this? It's in the con argument. The connection is the engine. So we already have the engine that we created, and with other parameters we can pass to it. Something like if there's data in that table, what do you want to happen? Do you want to truncate that table? Truncate is like you want to clear every data on it and append new one, or do you want to just add the new one to the data that is there? So we can say if it exists. So if there's data in the table, let's just say you want to append because we don't want to clear data. So we're just using append, for instance. And another thing we can pass is index. So index is basically because you can see that Python creates these indexes. So it's saying that this is row 0, row 1, row 2. This is what you call index. So if I don't pass this index equal to false, if I don't pass this, then the database is going to see this index as a column of its own. So I'm basically telling it, no, don't add these indexes for me. So this is what I want to use. Yeah, so I think I need to make one modification as well. I don't think I used the right database in my env. So one moment while I rectify that. So my env, my database now, we created a new database, right? TechMaths. Let me just confirm. Yeah, so we created a database, TechMaths. Yeah. All right, sorry for that. All right, so you can see my screen now. So let's try this out. So we are loading to this our laptops junior, which was a table we created on our data warehouse on our staging. Laptop junior. Yeah, so we want to load it to that table. And because we're already connected using the we're already connected. Remember in our EM, we are connecting to the STG table, right? So we can as well just also add the STG in front of it. But this is not very necessary because we are still connecting with the STG schema. So once you're in the same schema, you don't need to reference the schema. But if you're in a different schema, you need to reference the schema. So let's try this to see if this works for us. Yeah, so this actually says that it has sent our 2000 records. So let's head over to Snowflake and try to query this. So we open up our project again and we want to open up this editor. So this is the table that we created initially. So let's try to query it to see. So we can just select all records, select star from our stg.laptop Jumia. Let's see what we have in our table. So if we run this, why do we not have records? Let me refresh this. Why do we not have data in our table? Let me check this. Use this database. Let's see our code again. The table should be laptop junior, right? Yeah, laptop junior table. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so let's see, do we have data now? Still don't have. So we are not seeing our laptop junior table. So I need to check the data warehouse that we are connecting to. So let me just check.
Sure. Just because of time, we don't want to keep people on the call for too long. Just because of the time. I would say we could just. I think this has provided, a good background to what data engineers are doing. I don't know if you could just provide a bit of wrap up so we can just call it a day on that. Okay. Does that make sense?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, sure. Just a brief wrap up. Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right, so to put things together, essentially this is the pipeline that you want to build. So I think the major issue we are having is in terms of the database that we are connecting to. So I think I'm not getting into the right compute that accesses that table. But essentially, this is the pipeline as an end-to-end. You get the data you want to get, you do your web scraping, do your transformations, get the data that you want to get from extract it from whatever, and most times when you extract data from the source, it's always going to be in a messy way. You want to do the transformations that extract it in the way that you want to extract it. Then you want to connect to some database and load it in a staging area. So once you have your data in your staging area, then from there, however the business wants to use that data, you can now begin to write some SQL to transform the data further into the different ways that they want to use that data. And then once you have transformed it, you send it to the production schema, another section where the users can actually plug in. And assuming we had more time, I could show you all of this. And once you have it in that other section, you now want to go ahead and plug your analysts can plug their Power BI, their Tableau, whichever reporting interface they have to your production schema and build their beautiful reports. So that's the pipeline really end to end. And yeah, there are questions, I'll answer questions. No, if I'm over to you. Thank you guys.
All right, fantastic. Thanks a lot for that, Chu. Listen, I was glued to my screen all through, and I was trying to, see what the end result would look like. Do you understand? And these are technologies that are what we call the main stack, okay? Technology, Snowflake, and all that. And you've actually gone through that in the last, almost over 2 hours, just a few minutes, almost close to 2 hours. Okay, and I'm sure you guys enjoyed it, walking them through the process of web scraping, getting data from the internet, from a web page, all right, transforming and also loading it into a data warehouse. So I think it was a very interesting session, no doubt about that. I think we'll just go through the end, okay? And if anybody has any question at the end, we'll probably just take a few questions and that's it. But I think you did a great job. So you guys, please drop a one in the chat if you enjoyed yourself so far. Just drop a one in the chat. Thanks a lot for that. So Chu, I'm just going to take it over, and go ahead with, people are looking to getting started in data engineering. Okay. So now for guys that are looking to, if you going through the session that we had today, we talked about web scraping from Jumia, okay, taking data from a web page and transforming it and loading it into a data warehouse. And the warehouse we used for today's session was Snowflake. Okay, so essentially, the job of the data engineer rather is to ensure that you have data available. Okay, so you take, for example, looking at the case study where we are today, if the data analyst, the data scientist want to do some form of analytics, okay, they want to make sense of the data. First thing, the data has to be available. It has to be available. You can't run analysis with nothing. Okay, so data is the keyword, data, availability of that data. And that's the role of the data engineer. Okay, how do you make reliable, clean, useful data available for the data analyst and data engineer? And that's exactly what we have designed this training program to achieve. Okay, so this is your pathway to becoming a certified data engineer. All right. So I'm going to just spend the next 5-10 minutes telling you about the training program. People are looking to becoming data engineers. Okay. So we're going to start from the first thing. What is the first thing you're going to learn? You're going to learn an introduction to data engineering. So being the fact that this is a new career path you're getting yourself into, there are quite a number of terminologies, there are quite a number of tools, there are quite a number of things that you need to learn. Okay. So that's the first thing you need to learn, an introduction to data engineering. What's a data warehouse? So we talked about Snowflake's being a cloud-based warehouse, architecture. So what is a data warehouse? How does it differentiate from a database? Is it different from a data lake? Is it different from a data mart? Okay. Is it different from a delta lake? There are all these terminologies you need to understand before you go on to designing your own framework, your own ETL pipelines, and so on. So Introduction to Data Engineering provides you with that in-depth understanding of what data engineering is all about. Okay. Number two, Python and SQL. That's the two major technologies that you need to learn. So you notice in the case study today, you find out that the Python was what we used to do our, to build the ETL pipeline. Okay. Also, to create the database, to query the database, you need SQL. Okay, so those are the two essential technologies that you need to learn. Every other thing is an add-on. Okay, but the two foundational things that you need to learn is Python and SQL. Now, moving on from there, we go into Linux and GitHub. Okay, so Linux, we use that for bash commands and also for GitHub, we use it for version control. So those are two another essential technologies that you need to learn in order for you to transition into the role of a data engineer. Then after that, we go into data modeling. Now, data modeling consists of both data warehouse modeling and database modeling. So we'll cover that in that particular aspect. So you understand how to model data coming in from different sources, coming in from different databases, different data warehouses, and so on. So you get to know how to build a data model. This is where you start to talk about primary key, foreign keys, where you start to talk about fact and dimension tables, where you start to talk about normalization, denormalization, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, once you finish with that, then you are graduating, you're moving on, okay? You're moving on. You can see how we are, transiting, how we are moving, how we are, moving on in the career path of a data engineer. The next thing you're going to learn is NumPy and Pandas, okay? Now, Pandas is NumPy for numerical computation and Pandas for, data wrangling, data extraction, and so on and so forth, all right? Now, moving on from there, we move into Apache Spark. Now, Pandas has some limitation to the size of data that you can deal with, that you can transform. Okay, so Apache Spark provides you with a more robust application where you can deal with bigger data. All right, you can extract big chunks of data. You can do a transformation of big chunks of data, and so on and so forth. Now, moving on from there, you start to design your end-to-end data pipeline. Now, the end-to-end data pipeline means that you're going to be able to extract data from a data source. Now, it could be a database, it could be an API, it could be a web, it could be anything. Okay, you're extracting data from somewhere, you're transforming the data, and you're loading the data into a destination. All right, so that's the end-to-end data pipeline that we're talking about. So you're taking data from one source and you're loading it into the other source. That's basically what it is. All right. Now moving on to the next thing, web scraping and API. Okay, so this is where you now learn web scraping. Now you have web scraping on a static website and you have web scraping on a dynamic website. How do you web scrape? Now you'll also get to deal with what we call APIs, how you can extract data from APIs. So you're going to be learning very, 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 very in-demand skills as a data engineer. Once you're done with web scraping and API, you transition into cloud computing. This is where you now start to get to work with tools like Azure, AWS, and GCP. So that's Google Cloud Platform for the Google Cloud. You work with Azure, which is Microsoft Cloud, and AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, Amazon Cloud Services. Okay, so you're going to build projects across all three cloud platforms, AWS, Azure, and GCP. And once you're done with that, you move into Apache Airflow, which we use for pipeline automation. Okay, so we use it for pipeline automation in the sense that you don't need to be, like what you did today. All right. You don't need to be going to Jumia every day to find out what new laptop they've gotten. You don't need to manually run your codes, okay, in order for you to see what laptops are available, what the prices, what discounts are available, and so on. Okay. You can automate it to run every day at a certain time. Okay, and that's where Apache Airflow comes in, help you with pipeline automation, task automation, and all that. Once you're done with that, you become a master data engineer. So coming in as a beginner, you start with that introduction to data engineering. You transition into Python and SQL. You move into Linux and GitHub. you move into data modeling. And you see, that's how you take it one step at a time in order for you to become a master data engineer. Now, what roles can you do, going through the data engineering training program? A lot of people will think that it's just a data engineering role. But to be honest with you, I'm candid with you, there are other roles you can actually take on, okay? So like I talked about the person that got a job, actually got a job as a sales engineer, not a data engineer, okay? So those are the kind of things that you need to understand when transitioning into your desired career path. So it's not because you learned data engineering, the only job you can do is data engineer. No, all right? There are other jobs you can actually do. So we have the likes of ETL developer, okay? We have cloud engineer. So luckily for you, you're going to be learning all three clouds. So you have Azure cloud engineer, you have AWS cloud engineer, and you also are GCP cloud engineer. So you would definitely be able to apply for these roles. Now, the next thing is data quality engineer, which is another very, very, very common role that you find within the data engineering domain. Analytics engineer, okay, so one of our guys also just got a job as a senior analytics engineer. I think I played this video earlier during the session. So we also have a business intelligence developer. That's another role that you can get into. Okay, business intelligence developer. It's a very, 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 I think that's one of the fastest way you can actually transition into engineering, data engineering, is business intelligence developer. Now, moving on, we have big data analyst. That's something you can get into, and quantitative data engineer. So these are roles that you can actually go into once you complete the training program. Now, talking about the internship for the data engineering training program is 1 month immersive training program, immersive case study based internship. And this is one of the major reasons why we've had a lot of people transition from classroom to getting a job. Now, a lot of people are looking for this springboard, okay? A lot of people are looking for this springboard, okay? You will learn it on YouTube or whatever platform, and they really don't know how to translate from learning to from learning to getting a job. And this is what the internship does for you. And that's why we've had a huge success in people transitioning and getting jobs within the training program itself. So what you're going to do is during the internship, you will also get to add it to your CV that you're currently working with Analytics as a data engineer. So you can claim work experience, because during the training program, you would have worked on projects. During the internship, you'll also be working on projects. So you can claim your experience to say that you currently work with Analytics as a data engineer. And that's the springboard that you need, to be honest with you. And that's what other people are looking for. Where can I get that place to do an internship or to get experience and then use that experience in getting a job? And that's exactly what we're doing. The next thing is you get to work on very realistic projects, okay? Projects that when recruiters and employers get to see that these are the things that you've done, okay, it gives you an edge in getting started. Okay. Now, the next thing and last thing is project review with an expert. So you're not going to be working on projects without knowing what the end solution is going to look like, or what the potential problems with your solution is going to be. All right. So we have experts, who would give you best practice advice on what to do and how to go about that. So it's an immersive 1 month free virtual internship where you get to own your skills and lots more. All right. So during the training program, you have your training wheels. Training wheel in the sense that you have your facilitators, you have your coordinators, you have people that will guide and hold your hands through the process. All right. On the flip side, during the internship, you're all on your own. Okay, and you're trying to see how what you've learned in the training program will impact you when you get into the job role. Okay. So why should you train with us? It's very simple. Very, very, I think it's one of the best things that you would know. 4 things, very simple. 4 reasons why you should train with us. Number one, we have a fantastic track record of people getting jobs. Like I mentioned earlier, 4 years of being existent, we've helped over 2,000 people transition into the tech space. 2,000 people, not within a specific location, literally across the world. We have people getting jobs in France, in Norway, in Germany, in the UK, in Poland, in the US, in Canada, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in South Africa. We have people getting jobs literally across the world. All right. And that's literally what sets us apart from every other person or any other training institute you'll find yourself in. Number two is industry standard facilitators and curriculum. Now, the people you're going to be interacting with in terms of facilitators are people that have industry experience, people that are doing this on a day-to-day. So you get to learn exactly what is happening in the industry at the moment, okay? And that also translates into the curriculum because you're going to not be learning, you're not just learning with the best facilitators, you're also learning the best curriculum, the in-demand curriculum, what is attainable currently in the industry. That's what you'll be learning. So you're not just going to be learning any out tools or technologies that are outdated. You're going to be learning tools and technologies that are currently in demand. Okay, so that's exactly what you're going to be benefiting. Number three is the blended training delivery to accommodate any learning type. So you're a fast learner, you're a slow learner. How can you still learn? Okay, how can you move at the same pace? That's the key question I wanted to answer. So we have the live classes. So you would have live classes, but you would also have self-paced materials. Now, this self-paced materials means that you can work on your own pace. So if you're a slow learner and you like to watch things in minus 0.5 speed, please go ahead to watch it and learn at your own pace. Okay. So in terms of having people support system that will guide you and ensure that you're learning, that's exactly what we do during the blended training delivery. Okay. So we have the live classes, which are project-based, and then you have the self-paced aspect of the training program, which by you can also use in working on projects and also using that to learn in the same process, in the same vein. Now, number four, tailored sessions to position you for success, to getting your job. All right. And this comes in three levels. All right. Now, number one, we're going to help you revamp your CV. Number two, would help you with your LinkedIn optimization. Number two is LinkedIn optimization. Number three, Upwork optimization. Number four, navigating the job market. Number five, job and interview preparation. That's a very important one that you need to have. And number six, recommendation and reference letter. Now, these are the first level. These are, a lot of people think it's just the technical skills that gets them the job. And to be honest with you, it's just it amounts about, I would say, even just 40%. Okay. The remaining 60% of you getting a job, first of all, you need to even get a call from a recruiter to say that, oh, I love your CV. Let's talk. So you might be fantastic technically, but in terms of your approach to applying for a job could just be very bad. And that would hinder that technicality that you have. So that technical skill that you have without a good CV, without a good LinkedIn profile, without knowing how to apply or where to apply or how to navigate the job market, it's useless having technical skills. Okay. So this is where we now help you to rebrand, personal rebranding, where we work on your CV, we work on your LinkedIn profile, we work on your Upwork profile. We show you how to navigate the job market within your region. You're in Nigeria, you're in Kenya, you're in UK, you're in Canada, you're in the US. How do you navigate the job market? That's exactly what we're going to do for you. Now, last but not least, what we have there, job and interview preparation. This is where we prepare you for the interview. All right. You've never interviewed as a data engineer. So what kind of questions would you be expecting? How do you expect to answer those questions? Very important. Okay. And that's exactly what we'll train you on in the job preparation sessions. Okay. Then we have recommendation and reference letter. This comes without a doubt. So if you've ever worked outside the country or you're looking to get a remote job, recommendation and reference letter are very, very important in you getting that job. Okay, so they just don't want to see that, oh, you have a good experience, you can answer all the questions. At the end of the day, the organization that you've worked with, and they recommend you. Very important. And you need recommendation letter. That's where we come in to assist you on that. Number two, weekly mentorship sessions where we bring in experts to come and talk to you and come to, tell you about what's happening, what's attainable in the industry, and so on. Number eight that we have there, on the job support. On the job support. Okay. And this is where even after you go to the job and you still need help, okay, we will still render you help. Okay, we'll still help you and assist you and get you started. All right. Now, the next time, okay, like I mentioned, it always is impossible until somebody else goes ahead to get it done, okay? And like these are the two guys I told you about that recently just got jobs, okay, going through the data engineering training program. We have a training program starting on the 8th of June, 2024, okay? 8th of June, that's just literally next week, Saturday, okay? So if you're looking to get it started to becoming a data engineer this year, this is the best time for you to get started. And remember what Idris said earlier, okay? I attended the masterclass just the same way you attended, or you are attending at the moment, okay? The only difference is he took the classes, okay, and now currently works with one of the largest firms in the UK as an analytics engineer, okay? So the key thing for you today also is start. That's the key thing. And we're starting one on the 8th of June, 2024. We're looking forward to having you on board, okay? So if you're looking to get it started, all you need to do is open your web browser, okay, and just go to main start, okay, dot enroll. So my colleagues are going to drop the chat. They're going to drop the messages in the chat. Okay, I'm just going to see. All right, so the link has been dropped already. All you need to do is click on the link and it will open in your browser. So if you're looking forward to, if you want to register for the training program on the 6th or the 8th of June, okay, the fees are here, okay. So for data engineering, you'll see it here, 720,000 900 card, 580 euros, £500, and $600. That's the discounted amount. And the discount is not available for everybody. It's only available for the people that are, looking forward to starting on the 8th of June. Okay. So if you're looking to get started, click on the link mainstack.enroll to analytics. Okay. Scroll down, you'll see you can do a direct transfer. You could do a direct transfer, or you could pay online, okay? Whatever suits you. So if you want to pay your money online, you want to pay your money now, all right, all you need to do is, if you want to pay a direct transfer, please, the account numbers are there for you to do a direct transfer. And if you want to pay online, all you need to do is scroll down to where you see card/online payments. You would see data engineering. That's what we're discussing today. All right, click on data engineering. It opens up in a new tab. Okay, and thereafter, you would be able to select the amount you want to pay. So now the good thing also is all you need to do, because you're going to be getting a 20% discount, because of the 20% discount, you can actually pay in 2 installments. You can actually pay in 2 installments. So for data engineering, okay, you would see the price here. Data engineering, you would say the price is what? $600 instead of $750. £500 instead of £625, 580 euros instead of 730 euros, 900 Canadian dollars instead of 1,125 card, and 720,000 naira instead of 900,000. Now, because of this discount, you can pay in installments. All right. So, in order for you to register now, for example, all you need to pay is the first amount that you see here. So, for data engineer, all you need to pay now $400 or £350 or 400 euros or 600 Canadian dollars or 500,000 naira. Okay. Now, going back into it, so you see, all you need to pay now, my currently is in pounds. So the currency would show you, the web will show you, based on your location, we recommend the currency you should use in making payments. All right. So this is showing me pounds. Okay. So and that's based on my location. I was in the UK a couple of weeks ago. So it's still taking that particular location. It's still taking that UK location as my location. All right. So it's showing me £500, okay, which is what you have here, £500, okay. But I need to only pay £350 to register. Okay. I need to pay £350 to register. So all I need to do is change this 500 to 350, and that's all. Literally, that's all. So that would amount to your first payment and get you registered for the training program. Now, all you need to do is reserve a seat and put your information, your name, your email, and so on. Pay with card. You can go ahead to pay with your card, and that's it. It's as simple as that. Simple as ABC. Okay. Now, once you've made payment, all you need to do is scroll down. You see upload your receipt. Please ensure you upload your receipt. Ensure you upload your receipt. Okay, that's exactly what you get. Okay, so once you've made payment, ensure you upload your receipt. It's as simple as that. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to drop a question. Okay, don't hesitate to ask the questions, but that's basically it. I'm going to show you the platform so you see exactly what you get. Okay, so quickly, I'm going to run through the platform to analytics dashboard. Okay, and once you make payments, you get access to the LMS. Okay, so we have data engineering. I'm going to show you what the self-paced aspect of the training programs entail. Okay, so the self-paced, if you make your payments now, okay, you get access to the LMS, and this is the self-paced aspect of the training program. Now you have week 1, week 2, just the same way I provided you with a background. So you see the week 1, you have introduction to, you have module 1, module 2, and module 3. So module 1 is the program overview. Module 2 is the introduction to data engineering, and module 3 is Python for Python data types and data structures. So you see the videos are there. Now, what makes this very interesting is the practicality. Okay, so it's called a watch me do it video, in the sense that as you're watching the videos, you're also practicing alongside the videos. Okay, so if you take a look at the videos, even though there's a bit of a theory aspect where we're explaining just a few minutes of explanation, what it entails, but the core explanation is based on actual coding. So you'll be coding alongside the code along session. So as you're watching the videos, you are also doing this. You are doing the same thing, and you're seeing how it plays out in reality. Okay, and you see that's exactly what you get. So you have the self-paced materials that get you started. Okay, in the same vein, you also have the live classes. Okay, so the live classes are all stored in a Google Classroom. So you have access to the live class, and you also have access to the self-paced material. Okay, so if you take a look at the guys that started this month, let's take the guy that started in the month of May. Okay, they started the month of May. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Okay, let's take a look at this. Give it a second. I'm going to go to classwork, and I'll just scroll down. So you see every class, introduction to data engineering. Okay, all the sessions are recorded. So you would have class recording in here. So if I click on this, it shows you the class recording. Okay, so these are another, fantastic professionals of ours in Yanu Jason, also very experienced, that will be working with you, explaining
It's not the
things
same thing. They're two different.
around data engineering. Okay, so you'll be learning from your fellow Nigerians, fellow Africans across the world on the practical use of these things of data engineering. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that, and that's basically where it comes in. That's where we help you get started. So all the sessions are recorded. So even if you miss a session, you will always get access to the recording of the session. So these are live classes. These are live classes. Live class in the sense that you have an instructor and you have somebody that will be guiding you through what you're doing. Okay. So when I say that we literally hold your hands and guide you through data engineering, that's exactly what we're going to do. So you have the live classes. In the same vein, you still have self-paced materials, all right, that are designed specifically to ensure that you're learning. All right. So, anyways, when I say that you're in the right place, getting started with the analytics, you can never go wrong. Never, ever. Okay. So, if you're looking to getting started, please, you need to two things. Okay. Actually, three things. All right. So the first one is you can actually pay through direct transfer. Okay. Or you can pay using your card. Okay, using an online payment. Okay, you can go through the route. So that's two ways: using your card or doing a direct transfer. Now, once you've paid, all you need to do is upload your receipt. Everything is in the same link. Okay. All right. So you say upload your receipt, click on upload your receipt, it opens a new tab, and then you can put in the information that you find, all the necessary information, your email, your phone numbers, and all the things that we need to use to contact and confirm your payment. Okay, and that's basically it, guys. Okay, so if you're looking to become a data engineer, okay, please ensure that you register, and we can take you on the journey of becoming a data engineer. So on that note, guys, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. I know it's late your time. I enjoyed myself, and I'm pretty sure you enjoyed yourself also. So looking forward to having you all in the training program. And we're excited to have you on board. We're excited to see how we can work together. All right. So on these notes, we're going to call it a day. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye for now. Bye, guys.